Okay guys, welcome back. We have a very highly anticipated video today. We've got Wolverine Boulevard versus the Thursday Boot. So before we start, I've done reviews, like more in-depth reviews for both these boots. If you want to check those out, you can click somewhere below and you can go check those out. So today we're just going to do a battle. Now, the Boulevard collection from Wolverine was clearly just a direct response to Thursday swooping in and dominating that $200 price point and getting a lot of new younger guys to go and wear boots. And so kudos to Wolverine, in my opinion, for going and trying to compete with Thursday as a heritage brand that usually has boots in the $400 price point. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First, let's start with the leather. So when you take out the Wolverines, they have a very strong smell to it right away, but the leather felt really nice, and honestly, it reminded me a little bit of Chrome Excel leather. So it's really malleable, it's obviously chrome tanned, and it felt very soft, no break-in required, that kind of thing, but definitely didn't feel like low quality. So now for the Thursdays, I got the natural Chrome Excel from Wolverine, right? So on paper, technically speaking, you'd be like, yeah, this is American-made leather, it's obviously a lot better. And generally that's what I was thinking. So when I got these boots, honestly, they feel really great. No break-in required. They've got this beautiful tan color to them, which really looks great with denim. And so when you talk about which leather is better, they're pretty close. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the other Captains or the other Thursday boots that are $200, you know, not going into their Made in USA ones, they're probably using basically the same leather, right? They're both out of Mexico and they're probably using the same tanneries down there. So I actually do prefer the natural Chrome Excel, obviously. I could be, I'm a little biased, but when it comes down to it, they're very, very similar. So if I just had to choose one based on the leather, I would go with the Thursday because you can't really beat that Wolverine Chrome Excel leather. But honestly, any of the other models, I think they're exactly the same. Let's be real. Okay, so you Wolverine fans out there might not like this, but the soles are pretty much exactly the same also. So you got rubber, they're both Goodyear welted. The stitching almost looks exactly the same. There's actually a higher density. If you look very closely on the Wolverine one, you can see there's a higher density of that stitch right there. So that could come into play, but pretty much they feel the same, and I think you'll get the same longevity out of them, and I don't think you'll have a problem with them. I mentioned in my review for the Wolverine Boulevard boots that they're pretty much made for streetwear, right? Like Boulevard, so I think they're great for just on concrete, and likewise with the Thursdays. The only difference is the lugs. So if you look, this one has a nice textured lug to it, and this one has that day and night, that fake day and night sole. So I like how they're just doing something different and they have their own lugs in there, plus it probably does give you more grip. Alright, so I'm just noticing now, it's probably a bigger deal than I initially thought, but the stitch density is definitely a little bit higher on the Wolverines than it is on the Thursdays. I honestly don't know that much about it, so if you know something about it and if it's a big deal, please comment below and let us know. So let's start with the lining. If you look at the Thursday lining, it's like this, I don't know if it's calfskin, I doubt it. It's a full grain in lining, and then you have the eyelets that are stamped onto the lining, okay? Now if you look at the Wolverine, it's actually a sheepskin lining, and they're covering the eyelets and the speed hooks. So that's something I noticed right away, was that my foot was not slipping at all in the Wolverine boot because of the lining. It gripped my heel really well, and in the Thursdays, I do experience a lot of heel slippage, which it gives me a lot of foot pain over the course of a day. All right, let's talk about the insoles themselves. So the insole on the Wolverine, I was hoping for a cork filling, which I love on my Red Wings and Allen Edmonds and stuff like that, and Aldens, but it is indeed a foam insert. So I was a little bit underwhelmed, but it's got that same sheepskin lining, which is nice, and it feels actually very dense, which is nice to see. They have a little bit of a cushioning detail on the instep. So I was really, really impressed when I put my foot in. I was like, it doesn't feel like memory foam, which I really don't like memory foam that much. It feels very firm, which I really do like and appreciate. Whereas the Thursday doesn't have a removable insole, right? It's got that pour-on and like foam and then cork on the top. And so if you watch that Trenton Heath video, they cut it open and you can see how cheap they go on the cork. It's kind of just a marketing thing, in my opinion. And so you can tell right away that my foot isn't really molding to anything because there's really not a lot of cork in there. So even though I guess if you get them resoled, you can get a fresh bed of cork in there and you can mold your foot there that way. I think that if you're going for a $200 boot, it's pretty much disposable. I really like the fit of the Wolverines better. So to go into more detail about the fit overall of the boots, let's talk about the Thursdays first, because the way I describe it is that it's basically a bullet. You can see just how narrow it is, and there's not a lot of inspiration. That's what the word I was using. There's not a lot of inspiration unless it looks like kind of they just I don't know, half-assed the last, and they just use a straight bullet design when making their boots. And to me, that's a big thing that when you look at the Wolverine boot, it has a much more defined last. You can see that towards the outside of your foot, it has a nice extension, and then it comes back in, and there's a slight bulbous that provides a lot more toe splay when you step. And for me, it really does make a huge difference that I can feel right away that it feels like, I said it in a Red Wing video, that when my foot is like spilling over the edge of the Thursdays, I do notice it. It doesn't feel as stable, doesn't feel as comfortable. My feet do hurt at the end of the day when I wear the Thursdays. And another thing was that when my foot is actually inside the boot, on the Thursdays, I feel a little bit of a heel drop. So that means the heel's a little bit higher than your toes, and I feel that, and it kind of slides a little bit as you walk around. Whereas when I put my foot into the Wolverine, it really felt really natural and kind of level. And I don't want to get too into minimalist footwear right now, but to me, the way I view comfort and footwear is that it should be mimicking when you're like walking on a hard surface. The arch of your foot should have a natural contour, and so I just felt like it feels very evenly distributed, my weight on my arch. And I just feel like the Wolverines do a much better job of making my foot feel natural. All right, so finally, let's get into the sizing. So interestingly enough, I went for my Red Wing size on the Thursdays. They were size 9, and they feel fine lengthwise, but on the collar, it's a little bit big, and so I don't feel like they're totally secure. And I actually have tried on I've actually tried on Wolverine 1000 Miles, like in Nordstrom Rack and stuff. I ordered a pair and returned them, so I knew to size down to an 8.5. And what's really interesting is that if you notice, they're basically the same size. If not, the Boulevard boot is a little bit longer. So definitely, if you're gonna go for the Boulevard and try them out, size down. So in terms of sizing, so for the Thursdays, I went with my Red Wing size, a size 9. And for the Wolverine, I went for an 8.5 because I had previously tried on 1000 Miles and I knew that they run a little bit big. So I think practically speaking, if you want to order one of these boots, I would go a full size down from a sneaker. For me, I'm a 10 in New Balance, so a full size down in sneaker in the Thursdays, and in the Boulevard collection, go down a size and a half. So I mentioned it before, but I wanted to address that, some people might say that why would Wolverine, who has a very high standard, right, in their 1000 Mile collection, why would they reduce themselves to what some people will say Thursday is, and right there they just capitalized on American designs and American heritage and shipped them from Mexico and made them cheaply and kind of pitched them and market them as this high quality thing, when in reality they're not that high quality. They're not a bad product, but they're just not that high quality. So my response is, I think that it's the same thing with watches, right? If you buy a Timex, but eventually you grow in appreciation and you end up buying a Rolex. For me, if you buy the Wolverine Boulevard collection and it's a $200 boot, it's not the best boot in the world, it's not their best boot. But if you buy that boot, it lasts a few years, and you're appealing to a much wider audience, and you're getting a bunch of younger people like myself to get interested in boots and buy better footwear, and then eventually they go and buy Aldens or they buy the 1000 Miles or Red Wings. I think overall the movement in general, buying Goodyear welted boots, it's better for the environment, it's better for for minimalism and to reduce waste and all that stuff. So to me, the movement as a whole is great, and I'm happy to support it. All right, so drum roll please. If I had to just pick one winner, it's tough. It's definitely tough. They're pretty much identical boots, but I'd have to go with the Wolverine just because I'm a fit guy. I'm a fit first kind of guy, and I think that the last as a whole is way more inspired. It's way more comfortable, and the overall fit, like I said, is much better. But I'd love to hear what you guys think. If you own the boots, drop a comment below. As always, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more content. It'd be great. You guys know I just started the 2-minute reviews, which are hopefully gonna be awesome. If you guys have opinions, which I'm sure you do, please drop a comment below. It'd be awesome. And as always, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.